Welcome to Lavinia World. My name is Monica of Heartcraftpaper. For today's project, I'm going to show you how to make a Lavinia inspired Halloween card. So for today's project, we're going to utilize two different stamps. I wanted to get a spooky theme for this. The first one we're going to use is the Secret Garden, just because it has more of a rustic look. And the next one are the mini dots. And this is just to kind of add texture. Yeah, these are the mini dots. So we're going to use these in order to make our card. One of the other items I have here are these cute little keychain type die cuts. These are from TUTTI. I did one in orange and I did one in a glitter black. Finally, we're going to be using Distress Oxide. I have dried marigold, carved pumpkin, crackling campfire, and black soot. These are the items we're going to use on our blank canvas here, which is a white A2 size card. I want to create kind of a eerie theme, a dark theme on this card, just to kind of bring that spook out. I began by blending in my background. I started using dried marigold as the center, and that's going to be our lightest point, which is the focal, then coming in with carved pumpkin around. Now I'm going in a circular motion around the dried marigold and blending back and forth between the two, just to create that blur between the two colors. Next, I'm coming in with a crackling campfire, and this is the darkest of the orange, which is really a very beautiful color, and it's one of the newest colors from Tim Holtz Distress Oxides. And I'm just kind of going around in a circle. Now you want to be careful because you are moving in one direction. You can easily bend your paper while you're doing this. So I suggest holding it from the top and the bottom. Now I'm coming in and blending out those harsh lines with the carved pumpkin. That will help create that illusion of going from darker to lighter to the center and focal point. Now, mind you, this is going pretty fast, but I did take my time in blending and making sure that they looked all really nice. But I want to darken this up and get that eerie feeling. So I'm coming in with black soot all around the edges and just darkening up this card. It does give it that kind of orangey fire type of look. This will work very well, especially once we get our embossing done. I'm going to add a little bit more interest with these mini dots, just because I want to make sure that it kind of looks more texturized than it actually is. Using the black soot, I just stamped off on various sections, and at first I just kind of wanted to get placement. If that makes sense, just where I wanted to make sure that I'm getting a sporadic amount of dots. And then I'm going to come in and just kind of stamp several times, more of an unneat fashion to create that texture. So once we have everything completed and stamped out, I'm going to go ahead and dry emboss this with an embossing folder that kind of has a brick pattern to it. All right, here I have my card front, and look at all the texture this has and just how much depth of character those little mini dots gave to this. And just the focal point, I mean, it just goes right to making a spooky card. I love the background. Here is where I bring in the secret garden door. I love the work on this because it is just very rustic. It fits this card because it does have somewhat of a creepy feel to it, I guess, or more of a rustic feel that you can utilize in that way. So I'm going to use VersaFine Clear ink in order to stamp this off onto my vellum. The reason why I'm using this is because it does remain wet. We're going to go ahead and add some clear embossing powder on top of this and get that done. So here I'm using some clear embossing powder just to give this a little bit of shine and also to help set the ink. I don't want it to smear everywhere. It will take time to heat set it and whatnot. So this was actually really neat because it also added another depth of character to the card itself. A little bit of shine without actually bringing in bling. That's not something that I wanted to do with this card. All right, I'm now bringing in some gathered twigs. This is going to add color to the back of the vellum. I want to blend in some of that brown to make it appear as if though it is an actual door. Now, typically I like using color pencils on vellum, but this is a great alternative. And this gives a lot of color to the image. So I'm going to cut this out utilizing my scissors, just fussy cutting around it. I don't want anything neat. That's not the look of the card, nor do I want anything nice and straight. So as you can see, I'm trying to cut my image in a way that it would have some wonkiness to it and a little bit more of a rugged edge. So here I have it all cut out, just ready to go and glue it right onto the center of my card here, just like so. I'm going to go ahead and utilize some glue tape for this in order to set it down, just because of the transparency of the vellum. Now that I have my doorway set in place, it's time to add this cute little black cat ring. Now, I might just set it right here. So let's go ahead and get some glue onto that and just work our way on this card. Now, obviously this is going to need a little something else. So I want to bring in some crinkle binding. This is, I think it's called Orchid as far as the color. It's more of a blackish purple, but it's more on the black side than it is purple, which is really nice. I love the way that crinkle binding actually looks. And the best part about this is just how simple it is to apply onto a card. You can simply use double-sided tape and place that down onto your card and adhere the crinkle binding. For this particular card, I don't want it to be just on one side. I want it to kind of work its way around and climb up the side just to bring the eye up just a little bit and frame the door. So all I have to do now is peel back the double-sided covering and expose that stickiness. And then I'm simply going to place down my binding in a pleating motion. So I just place it down initially and then just kind of crinkle, crinkle, crinkle and just place it down. For my floral element, I have 3 little flowers. They're white, of course. So I'm going to go ahead and colorize them using black marble Dilutions ink. And just kind of spritz that onto them, just like that. I don't mind if it doesn't cover exactly everything. The important part is that the majority of the flower is covered. Before adding my flowers, I want to make sure I adhere down my card front onto my card base. I don't want it to get smashed as I press down. Now the crinkle binding can handle pressing down on it, and so can the rest of the items because they are flat. So it's just a matter of using some liquid glue and placing that down. Now again, I'm a liquid glue type of girl. Everybody's different. You can utilize some double-sided tape for this in order to get it down. That's totally up to you. In order to make things a little bit easier while everything is still kind of flat, I'm going to add my sentiment on the inside of my card. Now I chose a simple Happy Halloween for this. I'm going to use my Versaclear fine ink and I'm just going to make sure that it's centered. The one thing that I like about VersaFine is the fact that it does not need to be restamped. You can simply place it down and the paper will grab a lot of that color and it simply coats that stamp very well. Here's a closer look so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. And look at how well that detail is. The other thing I like is that it's very easy to clean. For the sentiment on the outside, I found this cute little spook, and this was as a part of a trade that I received on a bingo card. So I guess it was a Halloween themed bingo card. I'm just going to go through and distress this with my scissors just to roughen up these edges and make it look a little bit more weather worn. And once I have that done, I'm just going to go ahead and bring in some of the gathered twigs once again and place some color all around the edges. This will help give it more of a vintage feel and take away some of that shine that's on that paper. I just don't think that, it looked to fit the card. Now I just want to find placement for this sentiment. Initially, I wanted to place it at the top, but I figured that it would be too much and distract from my doorway. So I placed it on the bottom, and I'm simply going to adhere this down with some simple glue. The dimension is being brought in by the crinkle binding, so I'm not too concerned. It doesn't have to fit perfectly, and I'm sorry there is writing on the back of that. But just place it down and allow some of the curls on the edges to kind of come out. It doesn't have to be specifically flat. I'm going to be using my glue gun for this. Now you're going to want to be careful. Don't burn your little fingers because the flowers are small. And I'm just going to go ahead and place them up on the arch. I found that it would have been way too much to place them down at the bottom. But again, this helps to draw the eye upwards, and it fit perfectly. Now here I have some medallions that if you shift them, the picture changes, which is actually pretty neat. I got this again through a trade, and I think I'm going to go ahead and place that right there over the spook. I think that the theme will kind of fit it since it does shift a little bit spooky and Halloweeny. All right, we're all done. Let's take a closer look at the card that I've made. I like the actual grunginess of it. It is worn, it is spooky, and a simple happy Halloween. I hope you guys have enjoyed this tutorial and that you do visit us again here at Lavinia World. Thank you for watching Lavinia World. For more videos and tutorials like these, don't forget to subscribe. Hit the little bell in order to receive notifications for newer videos.